Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is a continuation video to our borders video that I just uh, published about a week ago. Um, there was a few things that I wanted to include in the video, and I had two options to amend the video that I had already put in, or to add another one and maybe add some more features, add more examples. And I chose the second point. Uh, but you know, this is what I'm going to cover in this video. Uh, this is what we call the CSS box model. As you can see, there's the contents in the center. This could be text or image, obviously, it could be one of the two. There's a padding. Padding is the distance between a border and the content, this size right here, this space right here. And we can control the padding all around or each one of the paddings. And then we have the border, which is what I'm going to be doing examples of today. And then we have a margin. This will be the distance between the border and another element. So if we have text or images, it doesn't matter. As long as it's an HTML element, there'll be a margin between the elements, right? Between the one paragraph and the other, between one paragraph and an image, and so on. And then we have a border padding and content. And we can control each one of these, right? So this is the model that we'll use from now on all examples on this tutorial. Today, I'm going to be talking about the different border styles, add more border styles, and the image is missing here on this particular image, but I'm going to put the image there. And then what I did is I went on the internet and I gather a few examples. There's literally hundreds of examples out there to do borders, but the ones that I believed more useful, there's some very good examples out there that I see no point in including. Uh, but this is one, even though these are borders, it looks like they were bullets. So I think I could do that. I like this is one of my favorites. Or I can do different shapes if you want to do a resume or, uh, electronic portfolio of some sort. So I'm going to go over examples of how to produce each one of these. These examples are not my examples. I modify them, but I will give full credit to the original authors of these. Here's some more. Those are buttons, more buttons, and then even though it doesn't look like it, it's actually a border, but it's just a bottom border only. So anyways, I'm gonna go over these, and like I said, I will give credit to the appropriate authors of these codes, but I will explain what they're doing and how they're doing it. So that makes a lot of sense to you, and obviously you're always welcome to copy the code, and although I suggest that you at least try to figure out how it works. So if you want to make your own personalization of the code, this will be the way to do it. So let's get to it. Let's go ahead and start with the different types of borders that we can do. All right, folks, so here we are. I'm going to do this example a little bit, this video's example is a little bit different than the other videos. I normally type all my code, but because of the number of examples that I've included in here, it would be very time consuming. So instead, I have opened up a page with my brackets, which is where I have all my code. And I have a Safari window open. And I'm going to go over each one, and then we'll see here the result of each one of the examples. That way I've saved some time. You'll be able to see the code on the screen. So in this case, I'm starting with my sample file, CSS tutorial part 3. And don't worry about the title, the comments, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And this guy only to have it in order. I'll do that right there. So here's my style. I'm saying all of the elements, remember the asterisk, it's all of the elements, make them in blue color. And then I'm saying the header, if it's a level 3, do a border around it of 3 pixels, solid line, green, and color. So when I go to my H1, it'll be a blue header. When I do a paragraph, it'll be a blue text paragraph. For the H3, I'm doing a border. Here's the border. Additionally, I'm changing the color to red. Remember, this is the last time I mentioned the color. It goes over this. So here's the result. Here's my header in blue, my paragraph, and here's the border of 3 pixels solid line in green. And then I changed the font to red. So this code produces this page right here. Very, very straightforward. I decided to start with this. So let's go to example number 2. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the second tab. And that's what the code results in. Now, again, this example, the only purpose of this example is to show all of the different border lines. We have dotted, dash, solid blue, all that. Okay, so I'm making everything Dodger blue. So that's Dodger blue is this, except for this one where I'm saying, look, change it to red. So the paragraph will be in red, but everything else is going to be in blue. And I'm just putting border styles between my header. Now, here are my classes. So I'm doing for H3 dotted, dash, solid, blue, groove. These are all the different border styles. And look, there's only one command for each one. Border style dotted, dash, solid, double, groovy, rich, inset or outset, or none if I don't want any, or hidden if it's there, but you can't see it. And as a given, even though we can do one of these, it does it automatically, we can also specify each one of the sides. So if we wanted something mixed, we'd do it like that. And then over here, I'm doing is look for the H3 to the class, and here they are. So that's what this looks like right here. Here's my border styles. Here's my paragraph in red, which is there. Here's my example of different border styles. And then each one of these will tell me the lines. This example is good for seeing all the different border styles that we have. Dotted, dash, solid, double line, groove, groovy, ridge, inset or outset. And then we have none or hit, and then hidden. On either one, you can't see it. Here it is a border, you just can't see it. Over here, there is no border. And then we have mix. See, there's different different lines for each one. And that's the code right here to produce this example. Anyways, I think so. Anyways, now we do have more than borders. I'm going to go to the example number 3. That's what it looks like. I'll go over it right now. Here, I'm doing the same Dodger blue, but I call these mixed levels 1 through 4, and actually 5, because what I'm doing is I'm doing different examples of what you would call it, the different sides, and each side may have a different type of border. So here's an example of different types of borders. Obviously, it's in red because I'm telling it here to do in red. We'll start with mix 1, single line on the left. So it is a border 3 pixels in red. The border style is none, 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 and solid. And as you notice, it will be none, 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 and solid to the left. Single line on the left right there in color red will be this. And by now you should guess that obviously when we specify the 4 sides, the first side is always the top one. Top, right, bottom, and left, okay? The second is double line on top and bottom. So I'm doing double none, double none. And here it is, a double line on the top and bottom, and they're green. So there's my 5 pixel green. Now we get to something a little bit cooler. It's called rounded corners. Now, when we do rounded corners, we introduce a new element, the radius. When we do a radius, we're telling CSS to think of a circle. You know, this is a principle of math. Here you do the radius. It tells it how to curve that circle at the end. And we're doing a 3 pixel solid green. Over here is the same radius, but 2 pixel solid black. And then we're adding an image. See, the difference between the third and the fourth is we're adding this background image, which I already have. Obviously, in this case, paper PNG. And that's what this is right here. So this one is 3. This one is 4. See, they look the same. The only difference is this one has that background of paper, And then for the fifth one, now you notice how the text is right at the edge uh, of uh, the border and to the left. Remember, we have paddings, we have borders, we have all this spacing, right? So here's my radius again, 30 pixels. There's my border and there's my solid blue. So there it is right there. I have my background and I have a height and a width. So that's why it looks like a bigger image. And then I'm doing padding. And if, as I just mentioned earlier, padding is the distance between the element and the border. So there is a space between the text and here and the text and here. That's what the padding provides, spacing between these two elements. So it's not all the way over here to the left or to the top or the bottom. I'm doing some spacing. So you would use padding when you want to center things, when you want to make things look a little bit better. And so that's what this does. And then I have here for the one with the padding, round the corners with background image, break line, and different widths and heights. And that's what it looks like. So very easy. That was my third example. Now let's get to some examples I got from the internet. I researched 52 different border examples for you guys. 52 of them, I counted them, and I copied the code on all 52 for my own purposes, because there's some very good code out there. But I wanted to include only the ones that I felt were somewhat meaningful. I mean, yes, there's some very cool effects you can do out there, but is it practical? Is it really practical? I mean, you can make an image, something that looks like a black hole, and it looks wonderful. But what can you use it for? Really? I mean, short of making an animation, it's not something you can use very practically in real life. So it looks great, excellent programming. There's no doubt in my mind that these guys really know what they're doing. But I only wanted to include examples that would make some sense. And the first one is dashboard animation. The original code is by Florian Cornea. I'm assuming, I don't know if it's a male or a female. I'll be honest, I don't know the name because it's not something I'm familiar with. But this is what the example looks like. As you can see, there's a border right there, and there's animation. The animation is moving the dash border around. And we have a success, which is a check mark, a warning, which is exclamation point, an error, SNX. Now, here's the code. Let's go over the code. Follow the link is needed for the icons, and here is the reference. Stack path bootstrap. Okay, this will be required. This right here will be required for these three symbols to show. I went and looked on the web page, and they're not images. Okay, these are not images. They're fonts. And here is the actual. Here it is. Font awesome mim.css. This is actually the name. This is the image, but it's actually the name of the image that you're looking at. I thought it was interesting. When I looked at the code the first time, I went over like, oh, well, look, but you gotta have the icons on your webpage. No, this is fonts. And this programmer, Cornea, is referencing these fonts. Now let's go over the classes. First, you have a circle wrapper, and you got the positions. Relative meaning you can move it. Relative means you can move around. You got defines your width and your height, and then it's floating to the left, and there's a margin. Okay, so this is circle wrapper. Then you have an icon. The position is absolute. The icon is usually going to be inside of the wrapper, so it's absolute to the wrapper, not to the page. With that said, or so look at this, right? So that's the difference. It makes it absolute means it's not going to move. I'm sorry, it's not going to move. Relative, it moves around. And there's some color definitions. Most of the examples I saw in that I'm going to include, they obviously use very unique coloring. I'm not going to go over all the colors. You can look at my prior tutorial on colors that I have defined, and obviously these are hexadecimal values that you can include in your coloring. So anyways, here's your font size, your top left icon positions, and then you transform it. There's a new thing that you have not seen. There's translate -50, -50. So they're moving things around, okay? Here's my circle, my definition of a circle. And here's a circle wrapper. When there's the animation right there, spins at 2 seconds. If it's success, the successor and warning, these are these three different, I call them bullets. They're not, okay? They're actually borders, but they're functioning as bullets. So that's why I like this example, because like I said, I'm including examples that are actually functional. So they put a background color, border, dash, and all that. Here's a keyframes is used when you have transitions. It's better than transitions. You tell in keyframes what you want to do. You can rotate it, transform it, move it. You can go from 0 to 100. You're going to see keyframes throughout these examples because it's one way of controlling what's happening. Is there's the moment there's animation, the easiest way is to define it with keyframes. And they're spinning. See, there's the spin, and they're transforming to the rotating to a 360-degree. Then you have your page wrapper for the whole thing, and here they are now. This is a table with 3 rows, 1, 2, and 3, and you have your page wrapper. Inside of it, you got your circle. You have a success. In this case, you have a warning, and in this case, you have an error. That changes, and you have your icons for each one. This here, FA exclamation, FA check, and FA times. These 3 guys right there are the ones responsible for putting these little icons here. They look like images, but they're not. They're font, okay? That's what these classes are putting in there. Very cool example. Here's the code again by Mr. or Mrs. Florin Cornea. I'm not gonna venture into saying if it's a male or female, but it's very good programming. You do need this link right here for it to work because they're fonts. And there's the code if you want to copy and paste it to your needs. If you want to get more adventurous, what I did, I went to this link right here. I put it on my browser, and you're gonna see other different besides check and warning and error. I mean, there's a bunch of icon-like fonts there you can use. And anyways, you can get creative with it. But a very good example, by the way, very good coding. I really liked it. Anyways, let's go to the next example. It's called a border transition. I'm gonna hit it right there. And the code is by someone by the name of Gianna. I'm going to assume where I'm from, Gianna is a female. It's a girl or a woman. And very cool. Border transition. I think is it this one? I think I'm missing the code for that one. But anyways, yeah, I think I am because okay, so it's 05. Let me look it up. Open with that one right there. Yeah, that's the one I was missing. I'm sorry. We'll close this. And I was like, I'm missing. I know that I'm missing something. Now, I want you to look at the code first. I'm sorry, I want you to look at the example. The original code by Gianna had 5 different transitions. I only like 2 of them. So this is what it looks like. This is the spin circle. Notice how it changes color and it does a circle. See, it changes color, the circle. It doesn't do anything if I click on it. And or you can have this, look, like a pyramid looks like, and it's going around. Very cool. Now we go back to the code. These are buttons. There's the general definition for your button. There's no background, your sizing. Just by looking at the attributes, you see there's a definition of what the button looks. But what the programmer here did, what Jana did, is say, look, when it's before and then there's after. For both of these, I want you to do this changes. Your position, your content, everything's not gonna move, change it, whatever. And then you have your spin. You know, you have widths and heights and padding. There's a hover before and an after, and before and then before. Okay, so all of this code here, that obviously the before is what to do before and then what to do afterwards. If there's changes that are happening, see, here's the changes that are happening. That's what all this animation is. Then there's your circle. These are the two main ones. There's the circle and the thick. They're this. And again, you have all these definitions. The example, the CSS part looks pretty intense. Personally, I think it is, but it is required because of all the things that it's doing them. Then at the end, here's the actual code. You have your spin circle or spin thick. And just so you can see that what it really looks like is right there. And here's my spin circle, my spin thick. Obviously, all I'm doing is the class is spin thick or spin circle. That's it. When I'm using these two, of course, these call the other ones, right? So you're doing the little procedures that go into the procedures into bigger procedures. That's how this works. Very good code by Gianna, whoever Gianna is. Very, very good code. I like this example. Again, they can be used as bullets. All right. Headshots. This is by George W. Park. But actually, before that, where is? I'm getting all my examples mixed up here. Border transitions. I'm gonna change this. Okay. All right. So we have border styles, and we have the dash, border transitions. These are all the different examples that I put in. I thought I had them all the way they should be, but apparently I don't. Tells you what I'm doing here. This is the example we just saw by Gianna for the circles, which is this one. Okay, so I know I'm there. Now let's go to the headshots. You can see the code here all fits in one page. Very straightforward. This example of code is for this here. Obviously, this is a square, this is a circle, and this one is just a very unique shape. And there are more, so you can make a lot of shapes here. What they did here, this is by George W. Park, gradient rounded borders. So he has the display is flexible. You have a justification of the content, alignment of the text, and wrapping in. Here's the image. The background image is these colors. Okay, see this which says linear gradient right there? That is these colors right here. Okay, and then when you see these two dashes right there, that's a variable in CSS, or you can think of it as a variable. I don't want to say it's a variable per se, but it's a variable. I'm telling the programmer saying, look, this here means this. And obviously, when I put my cursor there, it puts that picture. See, it's that same picture. Okay, that's for the body. Now for the headshot. In general, headshot. You have all of this height, widths. They're calculating. When it uses the calc, these are functions to create these different shapes. And finally, you have the actual headshots, which is here's, remember the image URL, this image over here. Here's the variable. That's how you obtain it. And then you have the different gradient colors, this one and that one. And the same goes for these. Now, this here, and this here, what they did, they have different linear gradients. To bottom left here, to bottom right over here, you know, and it shows you the colors. See, I got the little different colors as I'm going through them. There we go. And then, of course, all you have to do is just display that. Obviously, there's no text in here. What can you use this for? I don't know. I in my WordPress blog, I mentioned that if you're doing a portfolio, electronic document where you're, you know, maybe for a class or something like that, you put in your headshot and then you put some titles, and you know, it looks very, very awesome. Very, very, very cool. Now let's look at clip path, and that's this one here. Very similar to the previous one, except in this case, it's a multi-polygon, right? So relative, here's your width and height, your background color, which is the blue, and then here's my WebKit clip path, and it is a polygon. Here's a polygon right here. Now I did not, and here's my clip path polygon, the other polygon. Look, again, this is by Bennett Feely. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. Bennett Feely created this. I did not change any of the numbers of the polygon. The polygon, when you want to make polygons in CSS or HTML, you got to really experiment with all these numbers. Really got to experiment with the numbers to get them correctly. So I'm not going to attempt to change anything from there. The image obviously is my headshot right there. And there's the outside, there's the inside, and then I'm telling it to do this. The color, look at the color, papaya whip. Isn't good. So anyway, you have your outside and your inside, and you get this look. Again, it could be used, I'm centering, they're centering the content, so it looks in the center of the page. But you can use it, again, for a resume or, a portfolio document. You can use that. Now, I guess the good stuff. Let's do fancy. I really like this border by Shane Murphy using SVG graphics. I cover SVG graphics in my HTML tutorial, and they're, I don't want to say they're complex. They're not complex. They're actually easy to do, but they're tedious. I don't specialize in graphics myself. I know how they work, but I don't specialize in them. So obviously I did not even attempt to do modifications to the code. But what the programmer did here, selected a border, selected an image, and the image is right here. Image SVG plus XML, and then you keep going, and then they start from this path, and you have this height. Now you look at this fill, strokes, and all that. I'm not gonna go over them right now. Here's the actual numbers for my polygons. You see that little dot right there? You see these squares and the rectangle top? This is so cool because no matter what I do, it stays there. Because they're SVG graphics, it's not an image. Obviously, you can modify this. And here I put in a comment. This wasn't commented, but I went ahead and added there. This is where you adjust the box size, the width and the height for this. This is one of the main lines. You modify this to whatever you want. This will follow this. It's really cool. In fact, let's go ahead and make it 500 by 200. We'll leave that like that. And there it is. And now it's wider, 500 by 200. See, and it keeps, and it's very cool because it's not a graphic. And again, this is a SVG graphic. So think of a vector, right? It is a vector. So here it is, the image. You can see it on the screen, how it looks like. It's transparent inside, and there's the definition of the image. But no matter what width and height you do, it keeps the same image type, and then it adjusts it to the size that you tell it. I thought it was very awesome. This is great because you can use this anywhere inside a table, inside, maybe you just want to put it around an article if you're doing a newsletter. This is really awesome. You have a flyer that you want to put out. Very cool, fancy border. And yeah, this is, and I just added this text inside. Obviously, it wasn't there for the example. And finally, we have what is called the stripe diagonal. And I think we got one more. There's my stripe diagonal buttons. This is a button. This is a button with a link. This is another button, and this is a large button. You can see they have the diagonal lines on the bottom. Obviously, each one changes as you hover the mouse over it. Changes all the coloring. And this is rounded corner. Okay, so without a link, with a link, and all that. So let's go over here again. We're using WebKit keyframes. Here's my transition from 0 to 100. As I mentioned before, WebKit is used for animation, and that's the animation. Look at the animation. It seems like the lines are moving in the bottom, right? And there's the animation code, your body, and then you have your button definitions. You got some variables, and I'm not gonna decipher all the code. The programmer, which is Seindorf, that's all I could find is Seindorf is the one that created this web page. Very, very awesome. The code's on the screen. There's background images. There's a lot of these keys, elements that I have not come up with in my tutorial yet. So I'm going to leave alone. I'll get to them. Don't worry, but not at this point. And then here's your different buttons, so you can use them. Again, you can incorporate them into your web page. Where is my? Let me open up. Oh no, let's go over here, and I'm gonna file, open, and canvas per element. There we go, canvas per element. And by Jack, I don't know, Rugil or Rugil, that's the name of the programmer who created this file. Here's my background color. It's blackish, if you will. Your font, your padding to nothing. Then you have your nav A, and then you have your different classes for different colors. Now, it looks very simple, right? It's actually very, very simple. You can always change these colors to whatever you want. And this is what this does. See, they change, and their buttons in different colors. Very simple. Again, if you just want to put some little menu with some buttons in the screen, and each button can go somewhere, this is how you would do it. This is really easy to incorporate. Finally, got one more example I want to show you guys, and that is gradient borders. So very short code, right? Very short code. This is a border right here, and it changes. It's a link. So this is by Eric Martin Jordan. He's the original programmer of this code. Here's your align items to center. Here's your background color, font. Just this text to center as well. Here's your height and width, and here's your border. Is the bottom 4 pixel solid, which is this, and the image is a gradient, a linear gradient. So it's not a real image; it's actually a linear gradient. That's why it goes from one color to another, and they find the colors from that color to this color, right? So, anyways, very simple, and obviously it's not referring to anything. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm linking it to itself. You can put a link in there. So, anyways, that's my examples that I wanted to include today, from sample to different borders. So I'm going to click on them again. That. Very awesome examples. I hope you you like this tutorial, this particular tutorial, because again, this is not my code. I got it from other programmers, and I'm giving them full credit. They did an outstanding job, and maybe you can incorporate it into your examples. Here's the code for each one of them. This is one of the most complicated ones because it uses SVG graphics and it uses all this code here. Anyways, I hope you like this. My next tutorial will come out in about a week. Next part, I'm deviating a little bit away from borders. Until then, if you really like it, please subscribe and like my video. Thank you very much. Till next time.